Men, in this video I'm going to be talking about injuries and how you should approach post-injury training. Who the hell am I? My name is Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces support crew operator. Over the past decade I have trained so many thousands of elite men across defence, including those in the RAF, the Royal Marines and the Parachute Regiment. The demands placed on these individuals are excruciatingly high, and I have seen a wide range of injuries in my time. How different men approach the post-injury process is very different, and I've seen what works and I've seen what doesn't work. And also, through my time in training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've seen a whole different approach to being injured. So I have a lot of experience with injuries and with dealing with injuries. So my promise to you in this video, I am going to tell you about what the government recommends you do about your injuries. I'm going to tell you what the army does about people that are injured. And rounding all that up nicely, I'm going to tell you about what you should probably do to best train with injuries. As always, all my content is specific to men over 40 because men over 40 are in a more of a sensitive situation than our younger counterparts. They cannot afford to be getting this wrong for much longer because any limitations that the men over 40 do have may start to become more substantial and more permanent. So that is the reason of this channel, in order to educate you to change that, bring it into your own lives so that you don't have to bring a coach on board. However, I am an online coach as well. I run the longevity program in which I work with men over 40 to get them strong, powerful and quick. More importantly, to strengthen the joints of men over 40. On the left we have someone that is 50-year-old, we have 62-year-old here, and a man that is in his late 40s. Anyway, so that's me, that's my unique perspective on this. Hopefully you appreciate it, and we'll get straight into this one, gentlemen. So like I said earlier on, that is the plan of today. As always, I don't see this taking longer than 10 minutes, but don't be surprised if it takes a little bit longer. Sound alright? I love talking about injuries. It fascinates me how people tend to crumble. They get injured. I've been this guy in the past. I get injured in my elbow and I won't train my lower body or my cardio for the next 3 months because I'm injured. I've got a golden ticket. I'm allowed to rest because I'm injured. Anyway, I'm not going to break down my life story. I might add it into the relevant areas. So, what does the government recommend? I'm sure you've heard this saying, rice or price, before. I am going to break down this, but I'm just going to read it off first. So we've got prescribed medication. The government recommends you go and spend some money on some painkillers and some anti-inflammatories, some muscle relaxants or some stronger painkillers, whatever that might be. They want you to rest, they want you to put some ice on the injured area, they want you to compress the injured area, and they want you to elevate the injured area. What these actually do to your body, so the prescribed medication, painkillers, they numb the nerves so you don't feel the pain that much, actually creating a situation where you could damage the area further without realising. So, painkillers, anything that causes a disconnect between you and your injured area or an area of concern, isn't the greatest option. Anti-inflammatories, they basically reduce the body's ability to carry out its normal response to an injury. So it counteracts the body's normal response. The normal response is to actually increase swelling, increase inflammation, increase blood flow to the injured area in order to accelerate repair and regeneration. These tablets oppose that and slow that process down. Rest. So if we rest an area, it just gets weaker and weaker and weaker. If I said to you, if you stayed in bed every day for the rest of your life, I know that's the extreme of that scale, but if I said to you, rest, would your muscles and joints be strong, or would they deteriorate and diminish until you struggle to get out of bed? So rest is the recommendation by the government, and rest creates weakness, it doesn't create strength. Ice, similar to the anti-inflammatory mindset approach, it reduces swelling. Reducing swelling does reduce pain. However, it reduces the blood and nutrients that go to that injured area, basically massively slowing down the body's ability to actually get better faster. Compression's an interesting one because the ligaments and tendons, their job is to restrict movement of the joint. So compressing the joint further can provide support for the joint, extra support for the joint if the tendons and ligaments are struggling. It's a very rare type of situation that compression would actually provide a beneficial solution for the short term. What I see a lot of the time is compression gets overused. And if your body is relying on compression clothing, compression joint wear, or whatever you want to call them, then do the joints ever get strong or ever get strong? You become reliant on compression knee pads and compression elbow pads, you limit your joints, your tendons and ligaments responsibility to actually restrict movement, because these things do the job for it. Does that make the joint stronger or weaker? Do you know what I'm saying? And elevation, again, restricting blood flow. So for some reason the government seems to think that reducing blood flow to an injured area is beneficial. And what I see is this creating a huge disconnect with you and an area of your body which is struggling. Now there's a lot of profit to be made if you do these, and it's very ironic that the government says the word price in this situation, because they want you to buy tablets, they want you to go to the doctors, they want to sell you some more tablets, they want to send you to the physiotherapist, you buy some more time with them. Anyway, you go through the process, getting surgery, a surgeon is a salesman with a scalpel. Anyway, resulting in it costing you a fortune. Hopefully there's videos out there like this which catch your eye and you actually sit down, get comfortable and absorb. And videos like this will save you thousands. So come into this video with an open mind, and honestly, if I knew this 10 years ago, absolutely love it. Right, anyway, because I have a unique background, let's bring this to the party. Hopefully you appreciate it. So the army has a large budget with this stuff, and the way they see it is if they spend a lot on this pathway, then more people will be fit, more people will be available to deploy in operations. So the army sees this as a means to reduce the cost on people being on the injury pathway, either being on the waiting list for surgeries, being out the game completely and being unproductive and just a lousy operator to the service. So they invest fairly heavily on, this kind of thing as a means to save more money. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like they really care about us. It's just they do this because it costs them a lot of money to not do this. Do you know what I mean? So if you get injured in the army, you are to get a doctor's assessment pretty much like within 2 or 3 days. and you basically don't have an injury until you have an assessment of the doctor. The doctor will give you some paperwork basically saying, be careful on that injured area. However, this will put you at a status called limited duties. Limited duties means that you are still mandated to conduct 3 PT sessions per week, even if you deem yourself as being injured. So if you have limited duties for an elbow injury, you will still conduct 3 sessions per week, or you will be disciplined because you need to continue to prioritise the standard that you are at physically. So that's pretty good. That's what I'm saying, limited duties, but you still must conduct your 3 sessions per week. While you're on limited duties, you will then get pushed down to go and see a physiotherapist. A doctor doesn't really know anything about injuries unless he's a little nerd and he trains. A doctor is a GP of everything to do with the body, illnesses, tablets, and knows a little bit about injuries as well. The physio is like a GP of injuries, so they know a little bit about each injury. You go and see a physio, they give you their assessment, they may give you a couple of exercises, and happy days, you're off to the races. You will then start training only at this point here will you start training specifically to strengthen the injured area. And that's a bit of a shame, because you could be in this process here for a couple of months before you actually see a physio. Now, I know on Civvy Street that the time it takes you to see a physio, if you're in the NHS in the UK, could be 2, 3 or 4 months, because the NHS, for those of you that are not in the UK, the NHS is a free healthcare service, right? Which is absolutely amazing if you have a life-threatening injury or a life-threatening illness. You'll get the care that you need quickly. However, if you've got trivial matters like a knee injury or an ankle injury, it's one of the worst things ever, because they just don't have the manpower to care about little trivial matters that aren't life-threatening. So understand why that's a thing, and understand for you, if you're injured, why that's a problem. You will be on a waiting list to see a physio for ages. And after that, the physio can only give you general advice on injuries. So you'll be on another waiting list to see a specialist. Do you see what I'm saying? This is an absolute joke. But in the army, you do get pushed through this process pretty quickly, which is, it's pretty good. And especially if you know the physios, you can just walk straight into their office, get checked out instantly within like half an hour. So you can jump all of these steps, which is, again, similar to the situation I've been in for the past 3 years. I can just walk into a physio's office and get checked out instantly. I can walk into a specialist office and get checked out instantly. So the knowledge I've managed to absorb from all of these questions and all of the people that I've worked with that are injured, it's just an amazing place to work, an amazing place to absorb all of these mindsets and all of these, all of the stuff that they push out. Anyway, the reason all this is awesome, right? This is just pretty straightforward. This is what they do on Civvy Street, but in the army, it's a bit of a fast-tracked service. Professional athletes, again, it's more of a fast-tracked service. You talk professional athletes, and they won't even have a doctor. They'll go straight to the physio, and they'll have the specialist there within the next couple of days. The physio will be on the football pitch with them, within half an hour, or they're probably behind the bench in a football game. The physio will assess their injury on site, and the specialist, they will probably see the specialist the next day. So professional sports, where there's a lot more money going around, even faster. But the Army's secret weapon is what I really want to talk about. I'm going to just not put that up yet. The Army's secret weapon is something that not many people in the Army actually know about, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And the reason I absolutely love it is because it can be easily tailored into your lives as well if you're not in the Army. And what it is, basically, you get dragged out of work, and it's called a RIU, a Regional Rehabilitation Unit, and they look at your injury and they go, right, here's a date to start your course, your 3-week course at the RIU. And what they do is they say, look, what is a unit, where you're coming from? And they will email your unit and basically say, look, this guy is with us for 3 weeks, leave him alone. Exclude him from all of his work commitments for 3 weeks, because he is now getting some serious physical training in order to strengthen these injuries. At the RIU, you have nutritionists, you have doctors, you have senior physios, you have junior physios. You have a bunch of experts in the mix, and you can talk to these at will, which is absolutely awesome. But obviously, I know and appreciate that not everybody has this level of knowledge at their fingertips. But just to challenge that, you have YouTube, right? YouTube, you've got doctors, PhDs, physiotherapists, you've got hip specialists, knee specialists, got a lot of knowledge on the internet. So wind your neck in with that excuse straight off the bat. Another thing that you do at the RIU is you do multiple sessions per day. As you know, you've probably got over 200 muscles in your body, right? You're telling me that you can't train multiple times per day if you're injured. Now, some of these sessions, you'll be training muscle groups that have nothing to do with your injury. Some of these sessions, you'll be training muscle groups that surround an injured area. Some of these training sessions, you'll be focusing on cardiovascular training. There's a lot. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of stuff you can actually do when you're injured, right? Also, as part of the RIU courses, you learn about strength and conditioning. So you basically learn about basic movements in the body, how you should train. You learn about the muscles, the joints, basic nutrition in order to, benefit yourself physically. And this level of education isn't really pushed out in the wider army, and it's like a little secret, but it's unbelievable, right? Because it changes people's lives. And I'm going to go into it a little bit more. So, one thing that happens with injuries, right, is people get injured and they, put their feet up, because the government says put your feet up, right? Put your feet up, go to bed. Like, really, 4 weeks later, yeah, you might not have any pain, but have you got any stronger? Are you going to get injured again in the same place? Probably. I don't know, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but I really want you to just engage with this video and actually think, have any of yous, right, had reoccurring injuries that are listening to this video? Like, have you had the same knee injury that keeps coming back? You've done the price thing, you've rested it, you've elevated it, you wear a compression knee strap or elbow strap, and you do the thing that you'd listen to the advice, you go to the doctors, you take the tablets, and then it just doesn't get any better. And then I'm getting old. Man, honestly, right? If you trained the surrounding muscles of look, my elbow's fucked at the moment, right? My elbow's fucked. What did I do today, right? I trained normally. Yes, there was a bit of soreness in my elbow, but also I give the inside, these forearm muscles on the inside of my elbow. I absolutely destroyed myself on the inside of my elbow. Why is my elbow injured, you may ask? Well, I'm not really tapping to many arm bars in the gym when I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I'm working on my late escapes, and as a result of that, my arm has been extended quite a lot with a lot of force. Anyway, that's the price I was willing to pay to learn a little bit more about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and late escapes. But what I'm trying to say is, you must train with intensity, right? And whether that is training flexibility, whether that is training cardiovascularly, whether that is training the area in which you are injured, you need to train at the same intensity like you would if you were not injured. Low intensity training doesn't get you strong, right? And what do most physios do? Most physios will give you a resistance band and say, and they'll give you a low intensity solution. Now, good physios will put you through your paces. And this RIU, right, you get destroyed. Your muscles and your body Your mind gets destroyed because you've just been literally, everything that you've ever believed about physical training has been completely crushed. You have been told for the past 10, 15, 20 years of your life that you should rest. And the RIU comes and they go, nah, big lad, you're going to train. You're going to train that elbow injury because you've got a bicep there, you've got a tricep there, you've got forearm muscles here, and you've got forearm muscles here. All of these muscles surround the elbow joint. You're telling me that you should rest all of them muscle groups. Can you get them strong without aggravating the injury? Yes, you can. And this is why you need to be sensible. But 3 weeks of training 2 or 3 times a day, even when you're injured. Like on me, on a longevity program, right, I will have my athletes training more if they're injured. Typically, I have them training 3 times a week. But if they come to me and say, look, I've tweaked my knee, you guarantee that they are doing 5 sessions a week. Because I want to strengthen that weak area. An injury has highlighted a weak area. That needs to be given some serious TLC. Know what I'm saying? So, the most important part of this video, what can you do about this? Like I said earlier on, I've got a unique perspective on all these matters, and if I can package that nicely and give it to actionable points for you, then I've done my job here. So we've got the price, and you're probably in agreement now that it's an absolute shambles of a thing to do. It's the worst thing you can do in most cases. It creates a disconnect between you and a very vulnerable area. And the last thing you want to be doing is creating a disconnect. You want to be connected to your body, and especially connected to your weaker areas in order for you to get them strong. If you don't want to get these areas strong, then take tramadol, take morphine, and continue to play football and do all the crazy things that you want to do. And don't get strong and rest and eat shit. Great. If that's your goal, awesome. Anyway, but a big point about this, train the injured area sensibly, but aggressively and often. Just because it's injured doesn't mean you can't train it. It just means your start point is way less than it previously was. Gentlemen, we're at the summary. We're at the business end of the video. Resting weaker areas makes them weaker. But we rest. The government recommends rest. And they recommend you put ice on it, and they recommend you elevate it. And just relax. It'll be fine. Really? Will it really be fine? Rest. Further add to the degeneration of your muscles and joints, especially when we get older. Last thing we need to be doing. With this, obviously you need to find a safe starting point. So this is your individual assessment of your joint. What can this joint do? What can this muscle get away with doing without the pain being over a 5 or a 6 out of 10? What resistance can I put through that joint without the pain being more than a 6 out of 10? What resistance can I put through the muscles? Same detail. Also, how do I train the muscles above and below the injury? Again, you haven't got access to the nutritionists, the physios, the specialists, but you've got YouTube. Guaranteed you can find this information out. I'm just giving you the questions to ask. Also, can you train your cardio while you're injured? Gentlemen, yes you can. Just to finish it all off, rest is the worst thing you can do. Rest makes you weak. Anybody that advises rest, just look them in the eye. Look at their bodies and understand why they are advising rest. Gentlemen, if you have any questions on any of this stuff, message me on Instagram. I'm honestly, one of the luxuries you get from me is I am always here to support you. Comments below as well if you want to do that. And if you want me to train you specifically on any of these issues, then the links are in my channel. Jump on the program, and yeah, we can go from there.